All right. What's up, my friends? Hopefully you can hear me. We're doing a live video in the room. I've got permission from my friend in the room, Daniel Mitchell. His name is, and I'll give you his cell phone number, his home phone number, and his home address. But he's going to be my new witness because since this new guy's been in the room, I've only dished out winners one after another. So he's going to be the guy. If you really need to know, if you're still in disbelief of my magic powers and the ability for me to find stocks every day that are good opportunities to make money on, he will be your shining beacon of hope in this world of crap. So, here we are. I'm about to say what I always like to say. The market never goes down.
But what about the jobs number? Aren't you nervous about the jobs report tomorrow? Are you going in long to the jobs report?
Look, if you haven't noticed, economic data means absolutely nothing. And I'll take it the next step further. Earnings reports really don't matter except for the 1 or 2 days before and after they report. Because then the stock resumes its natural course. Unless the report is that detrimental to the well-being of the company, do you actually go into a downtrend? And I'm talking about this company, Tableau. You know, there's a watch company out there called Hublot. When they were thinking about making this company's name, and apparently it's a fancy, nice watch, but the company's Hublot. Hey, nice watch. What do you got? Hublot? What? I'm just saying you got a nice watch. No, it's a Hublot. What are you telling me to blow you? I'm just saying you got a nice watch. No, Hublot is the name of the watch. Hublot. So somewhere marketing was thinking, yeah, you know what? I like the name Hublot, but let's not just spell it Hublot. Let's put some sort of foreign language kind of spelling on it to make it fancy. But it'll still say Hublot. I think it's U-B-O, I don't even know. Hublot. Anyway, I lost my train of thought already. What the hell was I just talking about? Tell me. All right, my witness in the room, the stocks. Stocks. I'm sitting there, baked out of my mind, listening to, I went to the John Bonham show yesterday. Jason Bonham, sorry, John Bonham's son from Led Zeppelin. And they were killing it. And I'm having the best time of my life. And every once in a while, my goal in life, because I'm such a, I got this ADHD, OCD, I got every D's there are. I don't take pills for it like these little bitch kids and their parents trying to get them all medicated. But no matter how much of a good time I'm having, no matter what I'm thinking about, somewhere, somehow, stocks creep back into my head. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the job report's going to be. I wonder what the market's going to do tomorrow. I wish I could just stop thinking about it, but I can't. That's why I do what I do here. I like talking about it. Plus, these videos, they're for me as much as for you. I like venting. I like getting stuff off my chest. Because even in the midst of me having a really bad week last week, I was still dropping nuggets of wisdom. And we did pick up 3 winners that were still in. FEYE, and I want to thank my boy on Facebook, Ty Fetty, because he saw when I was talking about selling some of my Facebook, and he said, why would you sell it now? All you're going to be doing is bitching and moaning when it moves up another 10%. Look at the chart. And at first I wanted to rip the kid's head off because I'm like, who are you talking to? But then I was like, you know what? You're right, kid. I won't sell all of it. I'll hold on to $300 for you. And look at it. It's up another $1.50. So that's $450 that I'm making extra. And it's not a lot of money, but you know what? I just spent $35 on fucking puppy doggy bags to pick up his crap. $40 worth of bags. I gotta pay for this crap. He's taking 3 or 4 shits in the house. I'm going through this, Resolve and this, spray cleaner for my carpet and my floors. I gotta make money somewhere. Stuff costs money. So if I'm making $200 here and $300 there, that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what you should be trying to do. I'm in a little bit different situation, okay? Luckily, my wife became this juggernaut mortgage broker. She works 3 days a week. She's killing it. I killed it a decade ago. I bought her a $30,000 diamond ring, which keeps the marriage fresh and alive, because anytime we're fighting, I tell her to look at that ring. And it worked. Lucky I went with a bunch of Goombas where, I went in looking to spend 8 to 10 grand, and they're baiting and switching. Well, if you're going to spend 10 grand, how about this one for 13? Look how much nicer it is. Speaking of the devil, my wife's on the phone. We're just talking about you, honey, and the diamond ring I bought you. I'll call you back. So, she likes when I hang up on her too, but I can hang up on my wife just like that because of the diamond ring. So, they show me one ring, it's like 12 grand. They're like, well, here, take a look at this one compared to that one for only $2,000 more. The next thing you know, you're up to 14. Then they're like, well, for $1,850, you can get this one. This is insane. Look at the difference in the size. It makes all the difference. We'll put the baguettes. Next thing you know, we're up to 20, 22. And he's like, you know what? For 30 grand, we could give you a flawless stone. I got a D color with one little inclusion. And he's like, you know what? We'll hide the inclusion behind one of the baguettes and nobody will know it's there. Because if it didn't have that inclusion, this is a $55,000 diamond, and we're giving it to you for 30. Meanwhile, I walked in there looking to spend 8. 8 to 12 was my tops, and I spent double. Because at the time, when you're making 5 grand a day, and the idiots that you go shopping with are making 20 grand a day, you're like, well, you'll make that next week. Bob, do it, do it, do it, do it. I had that guy with me. Do it, do it. Meanwhile, he knew the guy that was selling me the diamond, so maybe he's getting kicked. He might have got a kickback for me going from 8 to 30 on the stone. Meanwhile, it was probably the best purchase I ever made. The ring's worth at least 50 now. And, it's not like my wife has sex with me anymore, but at least we don't fight. And that's half the battle. Every once in a while, I give her some GHB and, I knock her out and she wonders what happens the night before. And I'm like, I don't know, I was asleep. So, we're talking stocks here, right? We're talking about the jobs report tomorrow. So now if the jobs report comes out and whatever they want to, right? If the jobs report comes out over a certain amount, that's bullish for the market, right? Or they might interpret it as bearish for the market because now the economy is getting better, so there's more of a chance that they're going to raise interest rates, which then might scare some people out and maybe the market will go down. You never know how it's going to react. That's why you just stick to what works. And what works is what we've been doing in this choppy kind of environment over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Hasn't been the greatest. It hasn't been easy, but we're finding stocks like ENDP. I'm going to give you my list for free here. ENDP, look at that baby. Even the rig, the rig. Loving the data, yes, the data. How about the WLL, buying it on the way down because we didn't want to give up, held the bottom of the range, went right back to 1250. We sold that. The ENDP, this thing, I have no idea what they do, but the chart looked great. We bought some. FEYE, don't forget about the ACAD. So our little bullshit portfolio of 100 shares here and 200 shares there are doing pretty well. But let's go back to the point I was trying to make. Was no matter what you think the market's going to do, who cares? Your idea is find 2 or 3 things that look good, make them work for you for the day, possibly 2 days, and then find something else. Sure, I think data's going to 60, but guess what? If it opens up at 56.20 tomorrow, right, and reverses, I'm probably going to sell it and go short for the day. I'm not just going to sit there and say, oh, well, I think it's going to 60. But if you're a swing trader, you have to ignore those moves and you just say, I think the stock's going to 60 no matter what. Obviously, you're going to have to use a larger time frame and a larger stop. You're not going to want to swing trade using a 20-cent stop on a stock because it could pull back 20 cents at any minute and by the end of the day, it's back up 50 or $1 and the next day it's going up without you. So what was my point? My point is, one by one, I'm forming an army here. I'm forming an army of people that believe. My chat room is not a stock picking chat room. It's not a VWAP reversal room. It is a religion, people. I'm showing you how to succeed across all facets, not just the stock market, but of life. Marriage tips. So if you can afford it, overspend on that ring. I'm telling you, it works. And you know what? Try not to look at your girlfriend or your wife every once in a while. Just ignore each other. Eventually it does come like that anyway, but the more you don't see each other, when you do come together for date night, it's just that much more special. Between Monday and like Thursday, I think I say maybe, I don't know, 100 words to my wife. I'm doing my thing, she's doing her thing, and then we're cooking dinner for the kids. We're going to gymnastics, we're going to basketball. Next thing you know, I'm watching some TV show, and then I'm down in the basement smoking pot, watching Wayward Pines, because this is the weirdest show on television. Wayward Pines. I never thought this show would come back, but here it is. Keeps the marriage fresh, the less you see each other. I'm telling you, it works. Anyway. But then look down the list of stocks that we were talking about over the last couple of weeks. ICPT. Remember that one? We got jiggled out, and then it popped back up about a month ago. Look where it is now. Come on. Joy Global. I'll mention data again. Even the Twitter people. Even the Twitter. Because why do you buy a stock? Well, the first reason you should be buying a stock is you think it's going up. But that's not the most important part. You want to buy a stock when they stop going down. Like people are trying to pick a bottom on VRX. Why don't you just wait? Give it a moment. Give it a couple of weeks to find a spot where the selling stops. And then eventually the guy that's controlling it all, because there's usually 4 or 5 guys out there controlling the whole float. And when they decide, you know what, maybe this thing's not going down anymore, they start covering. The bulls get encouraged because the stock stops going down. Then the stock starts getting squeezed. Next thing you know, it starts going back up. And it gives you the ability to make money for that day or so. However long it lasts. Data, I think, is going to last. I think we got a good one here on the breakout after the bad jobs. One more thing before I say, farewell. And once again, if you're watching this video for the first time, hi. I've been trading pretty much since 1987. All right? I was only, 14? No. 16 years old. A girl I was dating, her dad came home in a frothy sweat in October of 2007. And he explained to me what happened that day during the market crash. And he went on and on and on. Next thing you know, I was hooked. I was like, I love whatever you're talking about. And I started watching stocks. I bought my first stock with my dad's broker. Some slot machine company. I did really well with it. And of course, I bought Potash of Saskatchewan back in the day also. It was one of my favorite stocks. Because I thought it was funny that the symbol was pot. I was like, oh, the symbol's pot. I've smoked pot once. Maybe I'll buy this stock. And it worked. Then I didn't really do much for years and years and years. And then I came back, and that's when the technology boom started to happen. When I became more of an active, when I became a stockbroker and a trader. We had the internet, Netscape, DoubleClick, Real Networks, that kind of stuff. iOmega, remember iOmega? Anyway. And now what I've done is I started a chat room. My original website was called Suck My NASDAQ, just to give you a little bit of a history. Suck My NASDAQ was the original website, okay? Suck it. And the NASDAQ, they called me and they wanted to sue me. I was like, but my website doesn't do anything. He's like, yeah, you can't use our name with a Suck My in front of it. You're defaming us. You're confusing the public. And I said, am I? And they said, yes. And we're going to sue you for, $100,000. How does that make you feel? And I was like, you can keep the website. And I changed it to Hit the Bid. But the moral of the story is I am the grandfather of chat rooms. Because what I used to do at my desk, before we had, we were using AOL Instant Messenger, but I thought even better, I bought my 5 guys headphones, and I had a headphone. And if I liked the stock, I would say it into the microphone, and they'd hear it in their earbud or whatever. And we'd all trade together. And I was like, this is a great concept. And at my first website, it cost me like $5,000 to get like, streaming video on it. Now you can do it for free on Periscope, and there's thousands of websites, but there's also thousands of chat rooms. And what I've learned, and what I've heard, is that most of these chat rooms, they trade these penny stocks where they sucker people into the chat room. They buy 100,000 shares of some dollar stock, and then they tell some of their close friends to buy the stock, and then they unleash the stock into the chat room and blast it out into emails, pumping the stock, and you've always heard the term pump and dump. And all I know is that I've been trying to do my, I never suggest anybody does anything that I do. But if you continuously see my suggestions are working, maybe you'll take one of my suggestions. And I'm saying, again, if you follow me, it's at your own peril. Follow me and fall as well, as they say, because, hey, I'm just a man. Remember that trade sometime in March of 2011 or 2012? I don't even remember because I've kind of drank it out of my memory. I thought I called the top of the market. I had 108,000 shares. Yeah, I had 8,000 Q short. I bought 400 puts in the money puts. And then I bought 400 more as it was going with me. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've never had 1,000 contracts of anything, so I bought 200 more. I'm running around the office like a freaking jack-off, screaming how I'm the man. I called the top of the market, and some guy says, you might want to get back to your desk. JP Morgan just put a buy recommendation on everything! So suddenly at like 1:30 in the afternoon, JP Morgan upgrades the S&Ps, they upgrade the Qs, they put a buy recommendation on about 50 stocks, and they say, we're about to blast off for the next 5 years, which was a great call. Wasn't great for me that day. And, you were following my lead that day, you got beat down. You got your ass kicked. And then there was the times when I thought UVXY was actually a real stock. The reason I short the UVXY all the time and the reason I hate it is because I was tortured by it, trying to figure it out. And then I joined the winning side, people. The stock always goes down. It's not a real stock. It's a tracking stock built on futures contracts that expire. Do you know that at least? You can't dollar cost average this on people on stock twits. There's no bottom. It's going to go to zero. So you trying to protect your wealth by buying UVXY as part of your portfolio, all you're doing trying to protect your wealth is destroying your wealth. It's only good for trading. And it's only good when the catastrophe days are here. Ebola, SARS, bird flu. You know the list of things that could go wrong. But even the SVXY isn't as great as you think it is. Of course, majority of the time it will go up, but that also has the contango and the slippage and all that stuff. But what do you care? You'll take a little slippage on a stock that goes up every freaking day. Ow! So right now, I'm under the belief that once the Qs, and again, this week, we want to know why this week's so flat? Because last week was supposed to be this week. Usually we rally after the holiday weekend. It's the post 9/11, no terrorism, gap and go. But suddenly we had it last week, and that's why we've spent this entire week consolidating.
Now we're waiting for the jobs report.
So if I tell you the market never goes down, which I'll continue to say, and remember, I don't think I have to qualify the statement anymore, for the love of God. Sure, the market could go down once in a while, it could have a down day. I'm saying the idea of a perpetual down market, a bear market, where 2 months from now we're going to see the market lower, and then 2 months after that we're going to see it lower, doesn't exist in this dojo. This is America, people. If you're short in the market, you're with the terrorists. All right? But again, I'm going to bring it on home with this one statement, and I say this a lot. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about what the market does tomorrow? Unless you're trading only the Qs or the S&P futures or you're going into the jobs report, this is the first trade of your life, and you're deciding to go long the market right this second, probably not a good idea in front of the jobs report. Why not just wait? What are you going to miss? If the market gap's down after the report, you're probably going to be looking to buy. If the market doesn't do anything, you're probably looking to buy. And if the market gaps up on the jobs report, guess what? You're probably looking to buy, but just not that aggressively because you're going to miss a chunk on the knee-jerk reaction when the numbers come out. So if you haven't heard this before, my philosophy on this market is that in 2009, the world was coming to an end, right? Capitalism was over. The government let the bankers and the financiers invent products to destroy the world, and they let them get away with it, which we should all be pissed. So in theory, nobody should own stocks as protest. We should be boycotting the stock market. But you can't, because they made it illegal to make money anywhere else but the stock market.
What about bonds?
Fuck a bond. You can't make any real money unless your money's in the market. Risk on, all that crap that they talk about, right? Look, we're breaking out right now. Market can't go down because, first of all, the government is in control, all right? They want you to make money, but you got to get over that belief that there is actually a chance of it going down perpetually. And I don't think that's going to happen maybe for the next 5 or 6 years. Because my philosophy is guys like my father, who has a good portfolio and he's got a little consortium of friends that he trades with. And they're buy and hold guys. They find stocks that they like, they put a price target on it, and, you know, they took one loss in years. And it was on Texas Instruments one time. And they vowed never to take a loss again because they sold out of it, they took a beat down, and then what do you know? Texas Instrument came all the way back. I mean, they don't trade stocks that have chances of going to zero. They trade the Qs. They trade Verizon. They trade Cisco. They're in VGR. This, I think they make cigarettes. So, you know, Intel, Cisco, the Qs, Verizon, GE. And of course, they bought oil because these are guys that have seen all this before. So when oil was crashing, they bought a ton of USO. And they picked it off the bottom, and they sold most of it at 11, and they were looking for 12.50 by July. And I would say, Dad, you know, maybe it's different this time. Maybe we finally don't need the oil. And he looked at me, and he said, really? Mr. Conspiracy? You don't think this is just some bullshit move down to get everybody out so they could rip it back up eventually? And he was giving it a year and a half. He's like, it might meander around, but it's like, it's oil. It's the most manipulated product there is. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Because all our wind and solar and electric, I thought maybe it was making a difference. But then he's like, do you think the oil lobbyists and the powers that be are going to let this thing go any lower than $20 a barrel? So buy it here, and even if you have to wait 2 or 3 years, you're probably going to double your money. And meanwhile, that trade worked out. So the patient man makes money in this market. But more importantly, kids, and the point I was trying to make 22 minutes ago, was throughout the choppiness and the trials and tribulations of the last 3 weeks and missing that nice blast off on the Qs, I kept asking everybody, do you want to chase stocks? Do you want to alter the style that we know works pretty well because you're feeling left out? That feeling of being left out leads you into top-ticking a trade. Obviously, if you bought the Qs at the 108.20 when we felt like, oh God, I can't believe this is going up without us, it still would have made us money. But what I've been trying to say is, ignore all that stuff. Stick with what works. You find these stocks at support. Next thing you know, they're breaking the 1 minute VWAP. Then they're getting to that special sauce that I'm always talking about, the multi-day. And then if they get through the 1 minute, first they stabilize, then they get through the 1 minute, then they get to the multi-day, and then if they reverse, and this could be going up or down, let's call it 8 out of 10 times, you're going to get enough out of the stock. And if it's a $9 stock and you get 12 cents out of it, that's enough. If it's a $12 stock and it goes up 22 cents, that's good. If it's a $50 stock and it goes up 60 cents, that's fantastic. That's all we're trying to do. And then every once in a while, the reversal becomes so good, like the FEYE, that you say, you know what, let me hang on to a little bit. That data, wow, that data looks really great. So instead of selling, all 800 shares on that first reversal at $49.25 that day, you hold on to 200. And it goes up another 6 points, and you wind up making more on the last 100 or 200 shares than you made on the original day trade on the reversal. Now, in a great world, in a fantastic world where I had unlimited funds, I'd have 1,000 shares of data still. I'd still have 1,000 shares of FEYE. I'd still have all my Qs, and blah, blah, blah. Because these reversals are so good, the intraday reversals usually tip you off to a trend reversal in the stock, a la the Twitter that day, when it finally reversed and actually stayed green. And look at it now. Finally. It's over 15. It's like 2 days now. Woohoo! All right. So remember, if you're going to watch this whole video, it's a half an hour long. You can watch it in double speed, which is a lot more fun. I get a little bit, I get all animated. So, yeah. So there you go. And I want to hear something crazy. I still like the SQ. I still like the GoPro. Because at these levels, they get down to that level. They look like they're going to break down, but they don't. And then you buy them. So when risk reward is in your favor, like GoPro at 985 or 1010, you give it a shot. Breaks down, rolls over, and dies, you take your loss. Same thing goes for this Twitter. Twitter, the SQ, and the stock, POT. Still like the POT. Still like the ATI. All right. All that stuff. But the only time you don't want to own, and the guys in the room are saying, what about when they're going into earnings reports? That's when you want to possibly, if let's say you're in a stock and you've been in for, the time from the last report to the next report and you're up money. Look, I still think you should never own a stock into the earnings report. Now, I know as an investor, you're not supposed to think that way. But if you're a day trader, swing trader, or a short-term investor, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, again, I've had this conversation. The worst thing that can happen is you own the stock and it goes to zero because they report that something is awful and it's never been a real company, blah, blah, blah. But let's take the flip side. So you're in a stock, you're up 4 points, right? And you sell it. And then they report awesome numbers. What's this going to do? It'll go up 10% without you, right? So if you're in FEYE, right? Let's say you bought it at $13.80 with us, and you're up to, maybe it goes to $21 before their next report. Why the hell would you hold it? What's your benefit here? That it pops 2 points on the report? Where most of the time, it's going to be negative. Because if they report good numbers, sometimes if a stock's run from 13 to 22, the good numbers are kind of baked in, and the stock sells off, and you're like,
But the numbers were good. Oh, but the numbers were good.
So it's never a good idea to own stocks into reports. All right, on that note, make sure you watch this video and fast forward because that was a lot of information. And for all you suckers that still think UVXY is a real stock, congratulations! This is day 4 since we've been tracking it. You're a loser, and you'll always be a loser. Even when the stock goes up, you're a loser. Because you buy more, and then it goes back down. Because the market never goes down. You understand? So this is day 4 of the UVX watch, because this is where everybody's been saying, oh, you gotta be buying this. So unless you bottom ticked it 3 days ago, you're up a penny right now, because I just believe it just hit a new all-time low. You don't get to say that too often on stocks, people. All-time low. UVXY. All-time low. You're 1 penny off. Nope, now you're not. So officially, anybody on Earth that owns UVXY right now on June 2nd, 2016, you're a loser. Don't tell me anything else. You couldn't have dollar cost averaged. You couldn't be doing anything with this stock right now. You're a loser, and you're probably going to remain a loser. New all-time lows. And if tomorrow on the jobs report, blah, 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 the stock goes up $1 and you're going to say, I told you so, well, I'll tell you what. If you don't sell it on the dollar pop that may happen tomorrow, you're probably still going to be a loser when the stock is at 40 cents and they reverse split it back to 50 and then it goes back down to $1 and so forth and so on. Learn something. Learn something, people. Oh, I wanted to be slick there and just hit the off button, but I hit the mic instead. Oh, yeah.